Ancha, papastim sikhasun. So, my name is Whitehorse. Thank you for joining me today. So, today I'm going to talk about smudging, and I'm going to talk about the four sacred plants that were given to us as Nihiyawak. And what I'm going to talk about, you'll find that it differs from person to person, from nation to nation, differs slightly. They have different practices. So what I'm going to show you today is the way I was taught and the way my Pihtiyak, my elders passed on the knowledge to me. And all I can do is show the way that I was taught. Now, whether it's different from the way you do it or different from the way you've seen it done, then that's one of the things that we always acknowledge and accept as Nihiyawak, as Cree peoples or as indigenous people. We understand that people are given different teachings and all people have different ways of doing things. However, the basics of it, we all pretty much follow the same basic process involved in smudging or smudging before prayer, smudging before meals, and all of that uh, sort of the most common ceremony would be a smudging ceremony, and most elders, um, many people, Kigatkahkyo, uh, Aysinuak, almost all people do daily smudging when they pray. So I'm just going to show you the way I was taught, and especially talk a little bit about the four sacred plants that were given to us by Creator, and even that differs slightly from nation to nation and from region to region, and a lot of that has to do with what was available and what is available in the local areas. Because we got to remember, uh, prior to first contact or before first contact, our people, um, it took them a long time to travel great distances, so they traded with nations, and but mostly they used what was in their local area. So one of the first of the four sacred plants that I'm going to show you is Pascual Casqua. So Pascual Casqua is what we call sage. So with sage, although we call it, the main name for it is Pascual Casqua, it's got different. There are two different types of sage that we use as indigenous people, and most of these two different types of sages grow um, in almost all of our regions. So we have Mostoso Huicasqua, or that's what we call buffalo sage, and we have Mistatemo Huicasqua, and that's horse sage. Now, the common one that you see used the most in ceremony is Mistatemo Huicasqua. However, even with sage, we usually call it Pasqua Huicasqua because that's just the name we give for sage overall. But if you really want to talk about what kind of sage you're using, the most common is Mistatamo Casqua because that's our horse sage. And the horse sage, the other name for it that you'd know, the common name is white sage. So it's the sage that grows fairly tall, usually anywhere from a foot to up to 2.5, 3 feet tall. So it can grow really big, and it's got a sort of a uh, whitish color to its leaves, and it's sort of kind of like little, almost really light fur on the leaves. But that's the most common sage. The other sage that we use is the buffalo sage. Buffalo sage grows mainly in sort of plains areas or open. open field areas. And you'll notice the difference from the horse sage because with the buffalo sage, it has really small leaves on it, but it has a whole lot of seeds on it. So you'll see a big clusters of seed pods on it, and you'll see mostly the seeds on that on the type of buffalo sage. However, with horse sage, mostly leaves, very little seeds on it unless they're really mature plants. But for the most part, sage was one of the sacred plants that was given to us to use in medicines and in ceremonies. So that's one of the most common ones you'll see is the sage being used. So the other common one that we see being used is we call masigis. So what masigis means, and if we translate to English, it means cedar. So the just the branches of the cedar, the sort of when you take it from the boughs and you take the cedar stem leaves. That's what we use in our smudges, and that's what one of the other sacred plants that was given to us to use as medicine and in our ceremonies. So with cedar, you'll commonly see it used in smudging ceremonies, or people smudge with it and burn that because with the cedar, it was believed to be able to have that ability to clear out dark energy, clear out the mind, the spirit, get rid of bad feelings, get rid of all of that, those dark feelings, sadness, hurt, anger, and to sort of cleanse our mind and our spirit and sort of focus us and bring the positive in. So that's the teaching that I was given with what uh, the strength and the energy that cedar has. So this is why we use it in our smudges because of that ability to cleanse away dark feelings or dark energies. So just going back to the sage and talking about the teachings that were given behind sage. With sage, the teaching that we're given behind sage is that it sort of it connects us to Simantu, our creator, and all of our ancestors. So it sort of binds everything together. So it it acts as a bind. It has connecting energies, we're told, to bind the other three sacred plants together so that when we pray and when we go in ceremony, we often use sage because it sort of connects the strength of all of the other sacred smudges that we use. And we're able to clear our minds, we're able to cleanse our bodies, we're able to connect to our ancestors um, as long as we're putting those smudges together with sage. So the other of the four sacred plants that was given to us is wicasqua, so sweetgrass. A lot of people just call it wicasqua, but we call it wicasqua. So wicasqua, sweetgrass, is one of the most common things you'll see as well. Uh, with sweetgrass, uh, people often use it just as a smudge by itself to sort of cleanse their area and sort of connect us to the spirits of our loved ones and our ancestors, and most importantly, connects us to Simantu, our creator, because we're told that the teaching we're given behind Wicasqua is that when we light it, it sort of acts as a spiritual connection to our loved ones that have gone on and all of the spirit world by sort of opening, acting like almost like a cell phone, where we're sort of get a connection to the spirits where they can hear us clearly through the smoke of the sweetgrass, and it carries our prayers and our words to the spirit world and to our ancestors, and of course, more importantly, to Siman, to our Creator. But we're taught that it has that ability to carry those words through the smoke and to sort of act as that uh, connection so that they can hear us clearly. So one of the other common of the four sacred herbs or four sacred plants is sistema, tobacco. So of course with sistema, very common, you'll see it used in pipe ceremonies, offering ceremonies when we go and we're taking from the land uh, or we're hunting or gathering. We'll often lay down the tobacco because with sistema, we were told that it was one of the gifts that was given to us to sort of remind us to always give thanks for everything around us and to act as that reminder to us to always put down tobacco, to ensure that we're respecting the world around us. We're giving thanks to everything around us for this life and the sustenance and every breath we take. But we're always giving thanks through the sistema, the tobacco. And that tobacco acts as that sort of connection to our all of our ancestors and loved ones that have carried that knowledge and passed it down to us. So I was taught that this is why we use sistema, especially in our pipes. It's connecting us to our ancestors and all of the knowledge and wisdom that they carried with them. So here in the north, you'll see that one of the what we consider one of the four sacred plants is also the diamond willow fungus. Uh, Wikamasagan, we call it. So with the diamond willow fungus, of course, it grows on the diamond willow trees. And as Nihiawak, as Cree people, we were taught that this is one of our four sacred plants. So when we're looking at the smudges for ceremony and for prayer, uh, uh, Wikamasagan is one of our four sacred plants. So here in the north, when I was first taught about smudging, my four sacred plants that I was taught about was the the diamond willow fungus, the sage, the cedar, and the sweetgrass. So these four, I was told, was our traditional four sacred plants. The tobacco, we still had the same teachings with Sistema, but it wasn't really presented one of the four sacred plants for us as Cree peoples here in northern Alberta. But it was taught to us as a gift from the Creator to connect us to our ancestors and our ancestral teachings, and to be a reminder for us for all of that knowledge that we carry. It's not our knowledge, but it's knowledge of our ancestors and those that came before us that we carry. So with smudging here, with my teachings, I was taught it was the Wikamasagan, the diamond willow fungus, the sage, cedar, and the sweetgrass. So those are the four that I use in my smudging. So when I was taught that when you need the certain smudges, each smudge has a special energy, but I was told that when I'm doing a ceremony or when I'm doing my prayers, I was told to try and use all four because this way I'm cleansing the energy around me with the sage. I'm cleansing my mind and my spirit with the cedar. I'm giving that connection to the spirit world so they can hear my voice and my prayers with the sweetgrass and with the wikamasagan. Uh, we are told that it acts very much like the tobacco would for those who have tobacco as their fourth sacred plant. That it sort of cleanses the physical world. So the our area around us, it clears out all of that energy and it brings that connection to the ancestors. It sort of uh, gets their attention so they know that we're going to be either doing a ceremony or a prayer. So it has them. It's almost like the ringing of a telephone, ringing of a cell phone. It's letting them know that we're going into ceremony or prayer. So those were the teachings that I was given with the four sacred plants for smudging. So, like I said, when I'm smudging or when I smudge, I usually mix equal parts of all four. And traditionally, we'd grind them up together with rocks or whatever we had to grind them in as finely as we could. Of course, now we have all sorts of grinders that people use and such. So once I get my four sacred plants, like I said, I take equal amounts and I mix them together, and I get sort of the mixture of the four of them, so that, like I said, when I'm going to prayer or ceremony, I was always taught to try and use the four, so that everything is being covered and the prayers are being heard. So you could see how it looks all ground together and mixed together. Now, I was taught as well that with smudging, especially, we need to be, with my teachings, we're taught that Kisanape Asani, or the great uh, the great man rock Asani, has a very special respect amongst Nihiawak because we are always taught that, and there are special teachings about Asani and teachings about rocks and the mountains because we are taught that they have a living spirit. They were here long before any of the creatures. They were one of the first spirits that were put on this land. That every rock has a memory and a story to share, and that it's since it was one of the first things created on our Mother Earth, we're taught that Simantu, our Creator, has special uh, has a special love for Kisanape Wasani, and therefore we're taught to really look to our oldest of our grandfather spirits, which is the rock spirit, uh, and we call him Kisanape Wasani, the great man rock, because, like I said, we're told that Kisanape Wasani is alive and has a spirit and a memory of everything that he goes through. So we're taught to use Pisanapiwasani as when we're doing our smudging, and most of the time, what we'll do is we'll heat the rock in the fire because with the rock teachings, we're taught that once we heat the rock, uh, that draws out the spirit of Kisanapiwasani and it brings that rock spirit to the forefront, and he'll speak for us when we're speaking to creator or speaking to our loved ones or our ancestors that have gone on before us. So we have great respect for Pisanapiwasani. So we're taught to smudge on there. So like I said, a lot of people will put the rock in the fire and heat it until it's almost red hot, and then put it in somewhere where it's not going to burn, like a little pan, and then to just put their smudge on top of the rock. However, most of the time, like if we're just praying in our home or if we're going into prayer somewhere, Uh, a lot of times we don't have a fire on hand. So what a lot of people who do ceremony and do light smudges, what they use is the small charcoal bricks that you can buy. And most people use these because they're really quick to light and they provide enough heat to run our smudges. So most people, when they do use the charcoal, they'll light the charcoal to act as the heat, then they'll put it on the rock, just so we're still heating up Kisanapiwasani and inviting the spirit of the rock to still speak for us and to be there when we do our smudging or our prayer. So I'm just going to light this charcoal. And there's many different teachings about how you're lighting your smudges, because some people say you're not supposed to use, say, a lighter. So which is why I usually light the charcoal with the lighter, but I won't light the smudge with my lighter. A lot of elders say you need to be using the wooden matches or something more natural, like I said, like the matches to light your smudges if you're going to be just lighting them without having the charcoal or anything else to when you're doing your smudging or lighting your smudges. So these charcoal, once you light them, you got to watch them because they were really slow burning and they burn for a really long time. So you don't want to just leave them and walk away from them once you're done your smudging, and you just usually got to wait a bit until you'll see the little sparks going, telling you where it's lighting and that your charcoal is lit. Once all of it's lit and the smoke has sort of burnt off, we'll put it on Isanape to start heating, bringing that heat into him, and like I said, inviting him to come and speak for me. So, like I said, we just respect all teachings and respect that we all have different teachings. But I thought I'd share my ways with you. So I'm just going to put that down now because it's almost done completely lighting. So again, I've taken all of my four sacred smudges and I've ground them together, and they're together in here. So now that my charcoal is lit and it started to heat up my my Kisanapio Asani, my rock Asani, I just put the smudge on there and you see it start smoking immediately. When I was taught about smudges as well, there are a lot of special teachings that go just with smudging and being able to understand what happens when we smudge. But those are special teachings that uh, people learn over many years working with Gitiyak, with elders and with ceremony holders, because we're taught that there's special ways to read the smoke um, that you can tell if your ancestors are present or if the smoke is going directly to our creator. And there's all sorts of teachings around how to read the smudges and understand the communication that we're getting or the messages we're getting through the smudge. But generally, when we're smudging, we don't need to worry about that because we're just preparing ourselves and cleansing ourselves in preparation to talk to our Creator, Simantu. So, which is why we smudge, is to sort of cleanse ourselves before speaking with our Creator, to make sure that we're not bringing in any negative energy or any negativity to our, especially when we're talking with our Creator or our ancestors or anything at all. And some people will also use their smudge just to clear their area. So of course, when we're going to smudge, we always remove our anything headgear or anything like that. A lot of people, if they have glasses, they'll remove their glasses as well. With me, because I've had to wear glasses for a long time, especially being an Escapios ceremonial helper. I was told that as long as I'm smudging my glasses as well, that I can still wear them during ceremony, uh, but just making sure that I remember to smudge them separately. So for for this, because I'm smudging myself, uh, I will remove my glasses. And I was taught that when we're smudging, there's a special way to smudge because we usually go 4 times and using the smoke as though it's water and washing away all of that dark energy, or bad feelings, sadness, hurt, anger, washing that all away in preparation for speaking to our loved ones or our creator, and just to wash those away. And a lot of people smudge just to wash those away, just so they feel better and they feel more focused. So I was taught that when we smudge, we always smudge first. We smudge our spirit. Now, as Cree peoples and the teachings that I was given, I was taught that our spirit resides right on the crown of our head because we're told that's the place that enters this world first when we're born onto this world. It's the very crown of our head. So we're told it's our spirit that comes out first. So that's where our spirit lives, and it's right on the top of our head. So this is why you see a lot of Nihiawak, a lot of Cree people when they're in prayer or when they're smudging, their head is bowed. So it's not bowed because they feel they need to bow as a lot of other cultures do, but it's because when we speak to our creator, we're told we need to speak with our spirit. So we point our spirit or the crown of our head to our creator. So I was told that first we cleanse our spirit. So I go 4 times, again keeping in line with the 4 directions, the 4 sacred plants. So there's that repetition of four, the 4 seasons. So we're just respecting that by cleansing, washing 4 times over our spirit. Then I was taught that we need to cleanse 4 times towards our eyes. So we see only good things and we look at only good things. So the other way I was taught, especially around the face and the head, we smudge and cleanse 4 times towards our ears so that we focus only on hearing good things and we washes away any bad things we may hear, any gossip or anything like that. We wash that away from our ears. Then the other place we smudge is towards our mouths. So we're only speaking good things and not speaking bad things or gossiping or anger. So we go 4 times cleansing towards our mouths. So we only good things come out of our mouths. And then I was taught, of course, towards our physical heart to clean, and then over our whole body to sort of wash everything 4 times. So that's the way I was taught to smudge and to prepare myself, and then I smudge my glasses afterwards as the last thing. And then I could put them back on, and if I was helping with a ceremony as Noscapios, then I would definitely smudge my glasses last, and then I could go on continuing to help them. Or after I'm done smudging, then that's when I go into my prayer and I do my daily prayer. The other thing that people do is they like to clean their area, so they'll do the smudging that I just went through, that whole process. Then they'll smudge always in a counterclockwise. So if I was smudging my Mosum Pascual Mustos, my grandfather buffalo here, I would go in a clockwise motion direction around him, smudging all around him, and then on top, circling always in the clockwise direction of the that the sun follows. So with direction as well, we're taught that when we're in ceremony or when we're doing our smudging or our prayers, that we need to be facing the east of the right where the sun rises, because that's the direction of life, because our sun rises from there. Musum Pisum, our grandfather's sun, rises in the east. So we need to face the east when we go into prayer or when we're doing a ceremony or when we're smudging. So that's just the basics about smudging and the four sacred plants that we use in smudging and the teachings that I was giving around smudging. So I thank you for joining me today. Kinanas kom tinawaw ka, Kiao. I hope you learned something new and I hope you carry that knowledge with you. Hey, hey.